evaluate is really holistically, not like you spoke last season about what you inherited as a staff, that way of personnel, and then where you are today, holistically, and then when you don't go portal for interior D line outside of there, and the inside backer, what that speaks to is in terms of where you guys are.
So it's a 5-part question. Can we get start one at a time?
Holistically, where you were, what you inherited, where you are,
right,
and not having to backfill because of what the work that went into
yeah, I mean, our priority one, talent acquisition, right? So first off, right, getting really good evaluations. Okay, then from there, assessing if the character is going to fit our culture, and then going on the attack from that standpoint. So really excited about the guys that we acquired. And it's for us, James, man, it's so long ago. You're talking about like, this process, half a year, when you go back to January in that process. So we've actually are into phase 5, what we call it in the NFL. We used to call it the different phases, 1, 2, and 3. We're actually in phase 5 here in college football, where we start out with the climb. So those guys that you're already aware of, right? Whether we signed as true freshmen or, went out and got in the portal, an in-depth process during the climb, of really teaching concepts from a football standpoint, and of course the strenuous strength and lifting and a speed enhancement program, that leading us into spring ball, where we try to tailor that with the fundamentals and technique that is being required to make those concepts work, right? Then we get into our May, what we call our OTAs. It's more so player and activity when we're on the road recruiting, but again, like recycling and going through those phases in our schematic cycle, right? Go to summer ball, where we can be involved, for a certain amount of hours all summer. And then this is phase 5, now camp. So now, the expectations have grown. Those guys that we're talking about that came aboard, the mistakes are not going to be acceptable now, that they may have made early on, and expectations rise of those guys, right? So we got a group that's talented, right, organ and experienced, and I think dangerous, if we get their talent headed in the right direction. How many of your 5 questions did I answer there? 2 or 3? Okay.
Back left, Matt.
You didn't have Toby during spring ball. Now having him through summer and the start of camp, at least, just what's been your impressions athletically and how it translated to what you saw on tape?
Yeah, Toby athletically, exactly what we thought. Take a lot of pride in our evaluations. So felt strong of who we were getting there from an athletic standpoint. Toby's still new to the game, so sometimes there's the funnest guys to be coaching, and kind of mold, their technique. But I think the guy's got the right mentality, certainly got the right athleticism, has a freakish, explosive capability, and now it's just directing that in the right technique, where our eyes are located pre-snap, going through our keys, our demeanor, our eyes, our post-snap finish, all the important things where we're doing the right thing.
All right, Tyson.
At what point in your time with Bryce Betcher and his development did it kind of click for you guys that this was somebody who would be worth having him pursue football full time and put a potential lucrative baseball career on the side? Like what sort of balance is there in when you're taking into account a player who
I absolutely knew from day one. No, that's a complete lie. Yeah, he came in and the A to B explosive, aggressive physicality, right? Very apparent. The issue on day one was you could step right and he might go out through the tunnel, back to the baseball field on accident, right? So I commend him on coming in routinely and asking, right, what exactly do I got to get better at? Do I got to fix? And he's the type of guy that you're going to give him something, and it might be that night or the next morning, where they're doing all the construction on the new facility. Like you hear noises going, look out, at 6 a.m. and this guy's out there doing exactly what you said, whether it's working on his change of direction and making his drills more reactionary, not predetermined, that apply more to the game, and ankle flexion, flexibility. So you talk about like the epitome of a guy that's going to attack the process. he came in with a different mentality, and I really commend a guy like that and a guy even like Devin Jackson, where I think it's easy to forget in this day and age. You got a former walk on, and you got a guy like Devin Jackson that came on a full ride scholarship. He got a T-shirt, right? He got cleats, but he wasn't on no major NIL deal. So I feel like these guys are guys a little bit similar to kind of the modern old school, where they have a different approach at times in comparison. Where I'm trying to earn a place at the table, right? I'm not kind of like, hey, I'm in the top tax bracket, right? Like I'm here at the table, right? Like, no, you ain't in nothing. Well, these guys, I love that culture they bring, and a little bit of a reminder, and I think that comes out at times, really both those guys, of how they approach or how they attack, and just kind of that chip on your shoulder approach.
Right here, front left, James.
You had Jaleel back in the spring, but now that you are getting closer to season, how does he compare to the Jaleel of 23 that we saw in the starting lineup?
Yeah, it's constant improvement. Made a great play today. I think he's bringing back his confidence. And it's been a daily stride to get there. Naturally, speaking from experience, when you experience a major injury, it is traumatizing. Mentally, you overcome that, but you still have the physical, right, aspect that you got to get over. And I think we're seeing that. So, he's letting it rip. He's going full speed now, doing some good things for us. So competing his butt off to compete and be a major contributor.
Back middle, Eric.
Coach Lanning mentioned yesterday that it really was about just knocking the rust off, getting back to what organized practice looks like, feels like for the defense and maybe some of those positions. What, for you, do you feel like is knocking off? What is the rust that you kind of got to knock off in that first day of fall camp and maybe first week of fall camp in order to kind of start seeing a little bit more growth during practice?
Yeah, really the challenge for us is we want to treat every day like it's day one. So naturally, when it truly is day one, there's gonna be some things your body's not used to doing, right? The tempo, the speed going against the offense at this type of speed, right? It's obviously very different than the summer approach, but that's my challenge. Is every day we're gonna approach this like day one, and we're not gonna. No focus is gonna be upon the poisonous pill of success of what we accomplished last season and beating the national champions in Michigan and Penn State and all the cool stuff and the Big Ten championship. And at the same time, we're not bringing up, the pill of depression either, and focusing on like, hey, what's our growth from the last game that didn't end up the way we wanted to be? And how do we build from this? So again, going to those 5 phases and going right into this camp. So, approaching it every day like it's day one. It's a fresh start. A poet once said, I'm gonna treat every single day like I'm an intern. And that's what I try to do, and making contagious. As far as a part of the staff and the players as well. Anybody know who that poet is? Notorious B.I.G.
Back left, Matt.
Missed some guy or lost some guys along the defensive line to the NFL. Just, you're obviously confident. Tony's been confident in the group that you bring back and have been waiting in the wings. What have you kind of seen from that group, the younger guys, the maturation and growth from spring ball to summer workouts to where you are now?
I'm challenging them every day. So like I'd say out of any group, I challenge them most after our first day. So to be honest, I was a little disappointed in our performance just based off of effort. We're out there in spiders, and we're going to play with fundamentals and technique. We're executing our assignments pretty strong, but I called the D-line out yesterday. It's like, we just lost roughly $42 million between 3 guys up front, as far as their salaries in the National Football League. We're looking for impact players, right? We're looking for the guys that have been chomping at the bit to get those reps, and this is your opportunity. So yesterday, I addressed the whole defense with that, and feel like, in all honesty, didn't think our effort was really truly to the standard, right? And I always want to assess the film before I make any statements. Today, going in before I watch the film, felt very different. They came out with hunger. Felt like they really responded. Had a great unit meeting, and the guys attacked the ball to the standard. And I thought those guys kind of, led that. So impressed and enjoyed seeing them how they would respond to that.
In the last year.
I talked with Jaleel on media day, and he was really complimentary about Theron Johnson and just his play recognition, and gave him a lot of compliments. Just, I want to know what you've seen from him during the spring, during this brief practice period, and just what are your expectations for him this season?
Yeah, I mean, expectations being the best version of him, and that's part of trying to raise his game to the next level, and and then hopefully that contributes to raising our defense as well, to a high level of play. So when he came in, he was fighting his butt off to finish a degree, a tough degree, and did a heck of a job doing that. At times, I think, he'd probably sacrifice some workout time. He'd probably be the first one to admit that. So honestly, when he came in, it was like thrown into the fire. He came in that unique quarter system entry point where we'd actually done 2 practices already. So you can imagine getting thrown into our defense at that point. Thought he reacted as best as possible, but just getting in shape, and then adapting and then mentally in shape as well. So what's obvious now, he's a lot more confident in his assignments. And, that's going to equate to making more plays. There's no doubt in my mind he has all the ability to do so.
All right, Zach.
The length in your defensive backfield this year is very prominent compared to years past. What does that allow you as a coordinator to do differently schematically, or, just being able to throw guys out there and trust them a little bit more?
Yeah, I think it's not necessarily, a whole bunch of differently. Just one, what can we do better? But also just fitting our scheme, really well. So having, 5 absolutely amazing, DBs last season that played their butt off, and the tallest guy being 5'10" and a quarter, and can't respect more that, what they did for us. But certainly our system, is built around guys with length and of course speed, and then short area quickness and a physical tackler. Well, that's what we're looking for. We get all that, then, we get guys like Christian Gonzalez, that can play at a really high level. So it's not necessarily doing a whole bunch of new stuff, but what we could do better probably caters to us, and maybe getting away from a little bit of smoke and mirrors to possibly hide some matchup issues, and things of that nature when we do lack some length and speed.
Back left, Matt.
A couple of your veterans during media day highlighted how Elijah Rushing's maturation has come a long way on the field, also off the field. Just you reflect of where he was last season and maybe how more prepared or better prepared he is this season?
Yeah, I think Guy absolutely is gonna challenge everybody in the building to put in the time and work the hardest when it comes to attention to detail, coming in extra bonus meetings, asking questions, staying later. It's important to him. He loves the game. So that's what his approach is. So that's adding on to the guy. I think, I was confident once again to the evaluation standpoint as far as this guy was going to be a developmental player, evaluating him, but a future star, as he puts all these things together and he starts to learn how to direct his length, learning how to rush the passer from a technique standpoint, and the things that, he's starting to show now. So excited.
2 more, James.
Besides Mateo's measurable tools and abilities, what are the things that make him uniquely him, Tosh, and what do you try to do over the next 6 months to extract everything out of him, to not just make him a first round pick, but to put him in that 1-1 conversation?
Yeah, I love it. That's absolutely the challenge. I think this guy has, I would go as far as saying unique smarts, where sometimes it's just natural, like big old, strong, long guy that can, do a lot of things. Contrary to maybe some's opinions of an elite edge rusher, this guy has elite smarts, in my opinion. So what that does for us, one, a guy that can communicate a call up front, get us aligned and help us there, multiple positions, right? So we're rotating him. You're going to see him rushing interior. You're going to see him rushing off the edge. He lines up in a 2-point, lines up in space, and we have absolute full confidence in him in those positions. He plays sandbacker, jackbacker, big end, edge, 3-tech. Just a unique guy, but I think, guys in the past that have been really fortunate to coach or be around, that's what jumps out is when a guy offers a whole bunch of versatility along with the things that you mentioned, right? The length and the physical tangibles. Then that's how guys get into those special conversations, of what you mentioned, being a top 10 pick or as you mentioned, one of one. So that's what I would say separates. The challenge I had to him is communication every day. That jumped off the Richter scale like 2 days ago when we came back. The guys reported. I thought I was having like an out of body of experience in the indoor facility, and he was directing the whole defense on all our strength and conditioning drills, what direction we're supposed to go, echoing the call. That was really cool to see. So the challenge is keep that consistency.
Last question, Zach.
What did you learn logistically this spring, changing from 2 practice fields down to 1 practice field? What's been the biggest adjustment this fall?
Yeah, pure chaos, organized chaos, so I'd say. So what I learned was like, yeah, this is probably not going to work, going in, like having a bit of a negative opinion to myself, just self-talk, never saying that out loud. You're like, yeah, I don't understand any, like, how are we going to operate there from a special teams and have the group drill here? But it did, so it was awesome. Like organized chaos, literally balls going in the opposite directions at the same time, utilizing the middle. But we're going to utilize what we got on the land. That's what we got. So, what do you do about it? So having a positive approach of it. Now we got the indoor back open, actually got extended. So we got more space there. Cool. Good question though. I would say, organizing chaos. So hopefully I save some of those diagrams if that ever happens to me in my life, in the future. Or don't have Coach Lanning to figure that out.